Good morning, good morning. Hey, how's it going, everybody? This Saturday morning, 6:18. That time again. Let's see, blue skies. There is some clouds out there, but I don't think we're gonna get any rain or anything. Good morning, good morning. Let's see, who is it? Chong or something? I can barely make out the name. How's it go? Everything going? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending wherever you're at. Yes, it's 62 degrees, 6:20, Saturday in California. We'll probably be on here probably either 45 minutes to an hour. We'll see how much. The sun is peeking out. Good morning, everybody. I'll read the comments. Welcome to the live, everyone. Don't forget to hit the like button. Like and share. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Yeah, it's nice out today. There's some clouds. Not too bad. Had to get the jacket out. It's kind of breezy out there. It's in the 60s. I guess we're still getting a break on the heat here. It was in the 90s yesterday, but I mean it didn't feel like the 90s, so. But we're getting there. I guess it'll be Easter Sunday tomorrow. And anybody doing anything special for Sunday? We're probably gonna make a ham. Yeah, we got some hams. Aldi's had them on special, 69 cents a pound. Yeah, you see the sun sneaking out. Clouds are covering it. That's a good thing. I don't hit me in the eyeball. Yeah, Rodrigo. I mean, Rodriguez. He was on live last night. You can go to my community tab, check all the channels that I visited, all the lives. Go check them out. Welcome. It's a beautiful morning. Alright, we'll see how the internet does here in that area up ahead. Always cuts out. I don't know, it's just a bad spot for internet, I guess. Yeah, probably too much interference from all the electrical wires and stuff around. Yeah, so so what was I talking about the last time? Oh, yeah, I remember when I was going to high school, I got my first car. First car that I started driving was a Mercury Marquise, 1970 Mercury. Power windows, electric seat, had the electric antenna in the back. It had a big engine in it, 429. The gas was cheap. This was pretty cheap back then. But then cars weren't economical, they used the gas. You step on the gas and you almost see the gas gauge move. Welcome everybody. Say hello to everybody. Check out everybody's channels. Look at my channel list. Got all kinds of different channels on there. Got paranormal channels. Got video gamers, bloggers, grow channels. Got channels that go fishing, magnet fishing. People that have tarantulas, arachnids, isopods, people with reptiles, snakes, people that cooking channels. Everybody likes cooking, how that is. I have people from Philippines, from Brazil, from Spain, from Barcelona, from Indonesia, people from India, I believe. People from everywhere, all parts of the world. U.S., Canada. Yep, everywhere pretty much. Yeah, welcome. I guess the internet didn't do too bad today. It felt like working, I guess. Yeah, so it's not too bad today. It's in the 60s. It's getting a little warmer, 67 now. But then, I don't know, it gets colder over where I work at. And it's not that far away. I mean, it's only about 39 miles maybe. Still, You know, temperature changes sometimes. Yeah, even the rain. Sometimes it'll be raining, pouring rain over there, and here it's not raining, or it's raining here and it's not raining over there. Yeah, just like at the Mexican and California border, the rain only rains in Mexico and doesn't rain over here because it can't cross the border. It doesn't have a passport. It just stops. Yeah, so yeah, when I was young, and then I had that car, and used to go to school with it. You know, Back then, you were allowed to leave campus. Now almost all your high schools are closed campus. You can't leave. It's kind of like a little prison. But then, kids don't they leave school and they don't come back. Play hooky. You know. Yeah, I remember senior ditch day. Where the seniors they get to play hooky. I don't know. I don't even remember that day because I wasn't doing too good in school. You know, grades weren't the best there. So I ended up my last year of high school. I ended up going to a continuation. Where you continue. And then I ended up still graduating with my class because my counselor gave me what I needed, to graduate with my class. And he said, well, if you stay here at the high school, he goes, you're gonna have to go get a job, like a part-time job, after school that gives you credits for school. I had to go to a community college, take a course there, pass that, and also pass every single class, of my last year, and maybe make it. And he goes, the other option, he goes, you can go to continuation full time and don't have to do any of the other stuff. And I'm like, oh shit, that's much easier. So I said, nah, I'll just go to continuation. Because and then people, they always talk bad about continuation schools. They say, oh, the troublemakers go there, the misfits. But, when I went to the continuation I went to, it was a small school. It wasn't even that big. I think the class size, you had maybe 10 students in a class. And basically you had the basics, you had your English class, and then you had your math class. Then you had a business, where you use a calculator, use a cash register. So kind of teach you, like, if you're going to go into retail, how to count money, how to use a calculator without looking, And the thing is, and then also you had history also. So you had your basic subjects that you needed. And the good thing is, the way it would work is how because in high school you could only get so many credits per class. In continuation, it was different. The more work you did, the more credit you would get. So I needed, for my last year of high school, in order to graduate it, I needed 70 credits, to graduate. Or was it six? It was, let me see. Yeah, it was 70 credits. Yeah, so in high school, you couldn't get that many credits. So I'm like, well, so I pretty much, because it was easier, because it was more that there was the teacher kind of paid more attention to you. You weren't lost in the class. Like in nowadays, if you go to high school, man, there's like 30, 40 kids in a classroom. I mean, some classrooms don't even have, chairs. You gotta, oh man, or they would transfer you to a different class. It was like, oh, you got too many kids in the class. You have to leave the class. It was not that great. So, I think it was better. I learned more. In fact, I learned more in my last year of high school than I did in the first three. I mean, teachers kind of cared. I think they cared a little bit more in the continuation. In fact, I remember there was the teacher for English, which was English and reading. She would, we would pretty much the class. She read the Lord of the Rings, not the Lord of the Rings, but the one before. Jesus, come on, look at this guy. Don't you hate when people they pass you, but then there's all this kind of room up ahead of you, but no, they gotta like pull in right in front of you because there's no none of space ahead. Then you get a rock thrown at your windshield and it gets cracked. Never fails. But you don't want to tailgate people, but they tailgate you by getting in front of you. Yeah, so the teacher, she started reading a book, and we ended up, the whole book. It was The Hobbit. Yeah, The Hobbit. So this was back in the 70s. This was 1979. That's the year I graduated from high school. And she was reading The Hobbit to us, and I mean it was amazing, listening to everything, and I mean you're like visualizing it in your head, and I mean I kind of knew what the movie when The Hobbit came out because I had already, experienced the book itself, by somebody else reading it, but out loud, and we all listened. And then she would kind of like give us like little quizzes, well, what did she, what happened, and that kind of explaining, so it was good, and we used to. Then our principal, his name was Mr. Peak, and he used to always play on his lunch hour. He used to play chess, and I knew how to play chess. I mean, there's checkers and there's chess. Chess is more challenging, and he used to read the newspaper where they have like chess matches on the newspaper, from these famous people, that play chess, all around the world, champion chess players. So, he was the principal was pretty good. I used to play him pretty, and of course he used to always beat me. And then one day I remember, I mean, I guess he messed up. So I took his queen, and once I took his queen, he kind of like, he's like, whoa, it kind of like messed him up. He started, look at this guy, who's in front of me, he slows down. Yeah, so he, he kind of, I guess he kind of panicked, and he just he couldn't handle getting losing his queen, and then he started attacking me with all these other, the pawns, with the bishop and the knights, and then every time I would, I was taking his, and then at the end, I beat him, checkmate, and he was all like, oh man, he couldn't believe, but I mean, I played him like continuously, like almost all year, so of course, I kind of, knew the kind of the moves, because I mean, at first he would beat me like real quick, like in 3 or 4 moves, because there's certain moves that you can do, and then if you don't counter, you're gonna lose no matter what, boom, you're gonna lose at chess, you get checkmate. So then I beat him, and then there was another guy that I used to go to school with, and he was there, and he witnessed it, and he was all like, "Oh man, he goes, you beat him, you beat Mr. B, you beat the principal, it was a, it's all." So it was funny because he's all and then the principal, he got up and he's all like, "Oh, he's all like, oh, congratulations, and you beat me, and he's all like, oh well, thank you for giving me a hard match, So then I go to, it was already lunchtime was over with, so I went to my class, and then my friend was all like, yeah, congratulating me and all this, and then the principal, he tries to be funny, because he goes into he goes to the classroom where I was at, and then he goes, it never happened, remember. He goes, if you want to graduate, this never happened. He's all like, and then my friend's all like, I'm a witness. You lost. But he was joking. He was all like, hey, So, I used to always give him a challenge. It wasn't an easy win. So, he liked playing. Yeah, so then, finally I graduated. I graduated from high school. Graduated with my class. And you're like, okay. So then I decided, I went into automotive, went to Arizona. Went to AAI, Arizona Automotive Institute. It's in Glendale, Arizona, and it's a 1-year course, trade school. They basically teach you all about cars, how to take apart. It was four quarters, for the year. One quarter was one quarter was engines. Pretty much they show you how to take apart a whole engine, from the heads, to the pistons, and take everything off the engine and rebuild an engine completely, take the heads apart, take off the valves, use all the tools to take it apart. And then say the valves were kind of like they were burnt or were messed up, if you can fix them, because you can put them on a lathe, and you turn it and you cut the edges back into them, so that way they would seal properly. Clean up the engine, the piston cylinder, and then you put in the pistons, put in new piston rings. Basically tell you everything of how to take it apart. Then the next class was the first quarter I had. Because when you sign up, you don't know exactly where you're gonna start. There was 4 courses. But that's the course I started at, was the engine. So then from the engines, then I went to the chassis class, where they teach you how to do front end alignments, how to take tires off cars, balance them, use the spin balancer, do the old-fashioned alignments with these old-fashioned machines, and also you did brakes, coil springs, shocks. So anything to do with the chassis, like tie rod ends, ball joints, anything under the car, pretty much. So that was a good class. You learn how to do calipers and drum brakes. Back then there was cars, still a lot of cars that had drum brakes on all 4 tires. Now it's pretty much all disc brakes, front and back. They're better because, if you've ever driven a car with drum brakes, they're harder to stop. And then to top it off, if you ever go through a water puddle, they would teach you, like when you're gonna go through a puddle and you have drum brakes, you want to pump your brakes a little bit, because there's what will happen is water will get between the drum and the brake shoe, and you won't be able to stop. You'll step on the brakes and there'll be water in between, so it won't allow you to stop. Where disc brakes are different, because then it basically there's not going to be any water between it, because it's at top, and then plus the disc brakes are pretty much almost touching the rotor. There's not that much of a gap between them. So then you take them off. You have special tools, take off all the springs for the rear brakes, the drum brakes. And then the front brakes, you got the calipers. And, you have to take out the calipers, there's a piston in there. And you check everything out, make sure there's no leaks. If there is, you can rebuild the calipers, or you can just replace the whole caliper already. Same thing with the rear brakes, you got a wheel cylinder that pushes out, so. And then your emergency brakes, that only works the back brakes. And so, there was always, it was a fun class. Then from that class, I went to the next quarter, because there's 4 quarters. The third quarter ended up in transmissions, the powertrain, which was basically the rear end, where you got your gears, your pinion gears, and your ring gear. And then on the other, so you got your pinion gear and your ring gear. And then you have your drive line that goes to your transmission. So you pretty much, and then you learn how to, because you got to take off the starter. And then also they teach you on standard transmissions also how to take apart the transmission. The standard transmission, which has the gearbox, has the clutch, the flywheel of the engine, and they pretty much teach you how to take everything apart. And this school had a dyno where you you could pretty much run a transmission after you rebuilt the transmission way before you even install it inside the car. You could put it on this machine. It was a huge machine, and it would run it through the test. It would tell you if any problems with that transmission before you even install it. Because I mean, you're not going to know until you put it underneath the car and everything and bolt it down. Where this one here, you would just, So I remember, because part of the course, you had to take apart a whole transmission, take apart the valve body, everything, put a rebuild kit on it, and then part of the test was you had to hook it up put it on the machine, and then it was supposed to run it, and it would pass. Well, so then, oh shit! I don't know if you guys caught it from the camera, but a bird just hit the side of the damn car. Probably dead. Another one committed suicide. I don't know if you saw the video I put out. I put out a video. Went to work and found a dead bird on the ground. Bird, usually at work I've seen it not more than, at least 4 or 5 times, dead birds, And you even see on the windows, you see the shape of the bird when it hits the window. One time I saw, there was a picture of a owl. You could see the whole owl on the window when it hit, the whole face and everything. But I guess it didn't die, but it left an imprint of its face because the window had a bunch of dirt, so it kind of like cleaned it off. But oh man, that was crazy. I don't know, birds, they think they can beat a car across the road. Why? This is what I understand. They can fly real high, but they fly they're flying across the road, like car level. Yeah, so then we got this, and the good thing about that class, that school is, like, say you needed your car repaired, and you didn't want to pay the price, like at a dealership. Well, this class, this school, it would take customers' cars. They would like rebuild the transmission. Like, say your transmission went out of your car, you take it to the school. You sign up. They take your car in. The only thing you would pay for would be the parts, which wasn't that much money, because usually labor was the one that would kill you. So you basically paid for just the parts. And like a rebuild kit for a transmission, it was maybe like about, back then it was 1980. The transmission kit would probably run you maybe like $80. They would rebuild your whole transmission, and if you take it to the transmission shop, it's going to cost you about $300, $400. I got to get the transmission rebuilt on my Mustang, and that's going to cost about $1,700. So big difference now, the prices. Yeah, so we had a customer, our and then they have other transmissions there that they, if you don't have a customer's car. So we got to experience, taking out a car, transmission out of a car. So we had you either had like 2 people. We had 2 people working on it. So we'd help each other take apart the transmission, take it out of the car. And supposedly this car was the little old lady's car. I think it was a Dodge, if I'm not mistaken, it was a Dodge Dart transmission. And so we pulled it out of the car because the problem with it had no gears. You put it in gear, it was automatic, and you put it in drive, and it wouldn't move. It only had reverse. We could drive it in reverse all day, but no forward gears. So basically, all the clutches inside completely got burnt. So, and basically it's these metal clutch packs that have a bunch of metal like little discs inside, and some of them have material on them. And the material, when they would engage, it would engage the gears with fluid in there, and it would boom, it would kick the gears in. Well, when we opened it up, I mean, they were all like completely gone. I mean, all the materials on the bottom of the oil pan, So then we took it all apart, and then the teacher, of course, the teacher's gonna, he's watching, watching you, and you're not gonna mess up the customer's car, So we took it apart, put it all together, and then you put it on the dyno, and to see if it works, and then you put the transmission fluid in, and then our transmission, since it came out of a car, had a torque converter. So our transmission, the torque converter, it takes more oil. So you take, when you would run it, a normal one that didn't have the torque converter, it had you only put about maybe like 4 or 5 quarts. Well, since this one had the torque converter, you need at least 10 quarts of oil in it. So when we hooked it up to the machine and everything, the teacher would, gave us the oil, but then he didn't give us enough oil, and then he started running it, and it wasn't doing anything. And I told him, I told the teacher, hey, you know what? Remember, we have a torque converter on it. And he goes, oh, that's right. So they had to add more oil. So then they added more oil. Everything worked. And then, in fact, one of the servos that lets the transmission, because nowadays, all the transmissions, they you don't even feel the when it changes gears, it just goes in smooth from first, second, third, fourth gear, But like, say you put it in sports, some cars have the button. You put sports, and then like you can feel the boom, like kind of like when it goes into the next gear. Especially if you floor it, it just like takes off, boom, boom, boom. You can feel that transmission kicking into every gear, Well, there was a servo, that has a spring in it, so the gears would go in much smoother. The teacher's all like, you don't need to put that. So because they would even tell you how to beef up the transmission. Like if you wanted to make your transmission like a hot rod kind of, automatic transmission, but then you make it more hot rod. You had to drill out certain holes in the valve body, leave out certain springs, so that way the gears would kick in faster and not as smooth, but it doesn't hurt the transmission. In fact, it makes it last longer, because instead of it like going in like slowly, it's gonna go like sliding in, like the metal and the pads would touch each other, so every time it would start wearing out a little bit of the material. But if it would like engage real fast, it's not gonna give it time to wear out. It grabs faster, so you don't get that smooth engagement. Makes the transmission last longer. So we rebuilt the transmission. She goes, yeah, you're gonna get that little old lady whiplash, if she ever steps on it. So we rebuilt the transmission. Yeah, everything worked fine. We put it all together and drove it, test drive it. It worked fine. Then the last part, the fourth quarter of the year, it was the tune-ups for the last part. And in that class, you did tune-ups on the vehicles, replace the spark plug wires. Back then we had caps, rotors, wires, even had points, condensers. A lot of people don't even know probably what that is. Now everything is computerized, electronics. You don't even have any of that. I mean, so now everything, has sensors, back then they even had a carburetor, not even fuel injection. In fact, we didn't even go into fuel injection because the fuel injection year after I graduated from school, getting out of carburetors, and then you would take apart a whole carburetor, putting new gaskets, and clean it out, make sure get everything all unplugged, any stuff that was all gummed up, and then you had coils, and then class, we used to. Then they had a dyno. I don't know if anybody's ever been to a doctor's office, where they hook you up to the machine, the heart machine. Well, there's a machine like that for automotive. Back in the day, there was a machine, you would hook it up, and it would show the firing of the spark plugs, show you how the cylinders are working. If there was a cylinder not, kind of like misfiring, you would see all the little like squiggly lines on the screen, and you would test the coil. You would take out a distributor, put it on a machine and test it out, run it through its test, make sure it would handle like high RPMs. Because once it got to a certain point, the point started bouncing. That's why all that was eliminated. Because you can only go so fast with cars. Now with all the technology, computers and stuff, everything's different. Now you don't even have carburetors. You got fuel injection, and then when they first got fuel injection, it was also almost like a carburetor, but it had two little injectors on top. Now it even eliminated that. Now it injects it directly into the cylinder, and then the spark plug. They made spark plugs better. Back then it was a spark plug with only one terminal. Now they got spark plugs with 2 terminals, 3 terminals, even some now with four terminals, So, the technology, has gotten better. Gas mileage on vehicles is better. But still, everything is working much better. Yeah. That's great. Hold on. I think I'm almost at work here. Malfunction. Yeah, so then and then also you would put it on a we had a dyno where you can put a car on top of a dyno and you would run it through its course of all the gears, and then see how it ran. You hook it up to a machine and you would get to see how the car was running, like if it was running on the road. I mean, you can run the machine up to 55 miles per hour, 60 miles an hour, and it's like, because you would put on a machine that the wheels were on rollers, and it would test drive your vehicle. You could test drive it there and then run it through. They still have those machines, and then you pretty much bolt the front tires down so it doesn't go anywhere, and you would run the car, on the dyno, and then it was pretty neat the way it would work, so you're like, oh, okay, put it on there, and then and then this class also, in this whole school, you had to be all clean shaven. You weren't allowed to be like unshaved. They wanted you to be all professional all the time. Your shoes had to be shined, because they wanted to get you ready for the real world, when you go get a job, because they always said, even if you were gonna go get a job turning wrenches, getting all oily and dirty, you still needed to get go to the interview, talk to the boss, and then he would say, hey, well, so you're like all nicely dressed. Okay, hold on. Yeah, so it was pretty good. Graduated from there, 1980. Then they even give you, like how to go to interviews and stuff like that. They give you like a little scenario, and then they give you like recommendations to certain places where you can go to shops and they recommended you from that school. Yeah, so they would recommend you, from that school. Yeah, so they would recommend you, for that school and stuff, and you go look for jobs. Hey, Johan, how's it going, man? Glad you finally made it. Let's see who was in here. Who was in here? Ching. Oh, Tina. Tita was in here. All right, she's from the Philippines. Let's see. Zelda, Micron, Zelda. Somebody from Japan. Too bad I can't read Japanese, but thanks for coming. MJ, Maggie, Tita, Miss Southern Belle, and she stole my thunder. Hey, Sean, Anthony, Johan, what's up? All right, you're still in Spain, man. You guys having so much fun out there, man. Yeah, what's up, man? So what are you guys on? Still on vacation over there, man? Or are you moving to Spain? Let's see. Hey, MJ, what's up? What's up? From Southwest Arizona. All right. My neighbors from California. Yeah, so then I finished the school, and then I went looking for jobs. But then the bad thing was that I remember going to interviews and stuff, and nobody, because when I graduated in 1980 from the automotive school, that's when the automotive, industry went down. They were closing dealerships. I don't know if you ever like Detroit. They were closing. A bunch of a lot of people started losing their jobs. Car industry wasn't doing too good. And then that's when foreign countries started selling a lot more Japanese cars. Toyota, Nissan. A bunch of other cars. American cars weren't. People started going away from American cars because gas started going up. I mean, it was over $1.39 a gallon back then. I mean, that's back in the 80s. Over $1 is like wow. And your car is only getting like 12 miles a gallon. So it's it. So I remember going to my interview, and then I was like, well, and then I was single, not married. So they're not going to hire a single person. They'll fresh out of school. They want people with experience at the time. So I mean, I put applications everywhere, and then a lot of places are like, nah, they didn't they weren't hiring. So then in fact, I got hired at AT&T. The taking care, fixing their vehicles, their vans. AT&T has all them vans that go around, fixing the phone lines and stuff like that. And they have other vehicles, and we used to do oil changes and tune-ups and stuff like that. And then there was uh, a guy that I met there, that spoke only Spanish. He didn't very speak very much English, and he was one of the helpers there, the mechanics, and then the guys, So then I spoke Spanish, so I would talk to him in Spanish, and then I guess the guys that worked there, they kind of didn't like that. Like, don't be talking to them in Spanish, only English. And I'm like, oh, okay. I guess they didn't really like me. So they're like, so I only worked there like a week, and then they're like, nah, it's not going to work out. We don't need you. Oh, okay. So I left. Then I put an application at Cragen's. It's automotive. So, and then I speak Spanish. So I got hired like less than a week, and then worked there for many, many, many years for Cragen's. And it was back when they were still owned by Lucky's. If anybody didn't know that, Lucky's, grocery stores. They had they owned Lucky's. They owned Checker, Cragen's, and also they owned Yellow Front stores back then, and a bunch of and some other, I forget which other ones. I think they might have owned some other, I forget what other stores they owned. But then Lucky's decided to sell their automotive division to somebody else, and then the company from Cragen's, they bought all the Checkers, and then then Chief Auto Parts, they went out of business. They got bought out by AutoZone. So then AutoZone and Cragen's was always the biggest around, you know. Then Cragen's got bought out. Now it's what is it? What is it called now? Dang it! Now I forgot the name of Cragen's, what it's called now. But yeah. Well, thanks everybody for coming in. God bless you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at. Thanks everybody for coming in. Have a good one. Till next time, God bless you. And remember what Keys always says, call your mama, tell her you love her, because you don't know how long she's going to be around. So thank you. Till next time, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.